Shalom, everyone. It is a long weekend. For me, sometimes it's a little bit of a lonely weekend because my rhythms get messed up and who I see on what day, because I am very much a creature of habit. And so it is really quite wonderful for me, this tradition that we've been doing since I've been here of continuing the dessert theme of the weekend and of getting a chance to spend a little extra time in community and in text. So we called this one Terrifically Texty because it's not totally texty, because I am lucky enough to have Sandra and Caroline here who are going to help us, well, mostly me, find a note. And it is just with so much gratitude to you two that on this Thanksgiving and on this Shabbat, you're going to lend your beauty and your generosity of spirit to our community. What we're going to do, because it's a little bit out of order today, is we're going to have a short service. We're going to break. We're going to go get dessert. And we're going to come back for a text study, because nothing should be sweeter than text study, right? So that is the plan of action. That being said, it's about 15 degrees in this sanctuary right now, as far as I can tell. So if you need hot coffee or tea or something, it's set up for the dessert section, but don't wait until your fingers fall off. Go get it, hold a cup, and we'll learn together, but hold off on the desserts for a little bit, if that's okay. Make sense? Yeah. We are going to start with the words of Hine Matov, and it is a deep joy to know that I don't have to figure out where we're starting. It's on page 2 if you're following in our prayer books. To come up and light the candles in adding your music and your light into our sanctuary? Is the old-fashioned match way okay? Okay, great. Or you could go right for this. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It's an unusual grouping here today, so I thought perhaps to go around and wish each other a Shabbat Shalom, introduce ourselves by name, and make sure that everyone feels at home here in the sanctuary. And I think we have a person, you've been here for a baby naming or two, right? Rachel, is that right? Have you been here for a baby naming? In the summer. So we are, I think, pretty excited to have Rachel here with us as well. So I thought if we could all say our names. I'm Rabbi Cari, and Shabbat Shalom. Good to be with you.
And I'm Court. Shabbat Shalom.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Sarah, Shabbat Shalom, and this is Rachel, Shabbat Shalom. She has her little friend, Gogo. And I'm Rachel.
Shabbat Shalom.
Hillary, Shabbat Shalom.
Melissa Cook, Shabbat Shalom.
Sue, Shabbat Shalom.
Caroline, Shabbat Shalom.
Sandra Levin, Shabbat Shalom.
Helen, Shabbat Shalom.
And I'm Aaron. Shabbat Shalom.
I'm Lynn, Shabbat Shalom.
Hi, I'm Alana, Shabbat Shalom.
I am Lex, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. We are going to call each other home into this sanctuary with the words Baruch Hu. Oh, Dan, I'm so sorry. And Brian, I am so sorry. Dan, you go.
I'm Dan. I'm Brian.
There you go. And Shabbat Shalom. We'll call each other home with the words Baruch Hu, dear one. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit. And if anybody wants to help me lead this, it won't be me leading and you responding. Let's lead together and call to each other. You can either take the call or the response. We'll just sing it once or twice. Baruch Hu, dear one, Shekhinah, holy name. When I call on the light of my soul, I come home. Baruch Hu, dear one, Shekhinah, holy name. When I call on the light of my soul, I come home. We turn to the Shema, the invitation to listen to the universe around us, to stand in witness to the oneness that lies behind all life. And Dan, would you mind pulling up the slide? So when you look at the Shema in the Torah portion, in the Torah where it's printed, the Shin and the Daled, so the very first letter and the very last letter, are printed larger than the other letters throughout. And that is that word witness, to stand in witness. So if you wonder why I say that some weeks, it's because we listen as the first word commands, but then the idea is that we live in that witness. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. And we're going to remain standing, turning directly to our Amidah this evening, moving in the quiet of our sanctuary to our prayers as a community and our prayers as individuals. Adonai Sifatai Tiftach Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha. Adonai Sifatai Tiftach Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Bekonei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava. Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen, Baruch Ata Adonai, Magen Avraham Vezrat Sarah. Ata Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol Ata Rav Lehoshia. Mechakel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Ba'al Gevurot, Umido Melech, Melech Memit Umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman ata lehachayot hakol, Baruch ata Adonai, Mechaye hakol. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, ukedoshim b'chol yom yalelucha selah. Baruch ata Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. We turn our hearts, as we have at this time for since October 7th. For all of this time, we've turned our hearts at this moment after our silence towards the people who are struggling in Gaza, in Israel, to the hope that those who were taken hostage will be returned, to those whose lives have been ended, uprooted, that there will be sparks of hope and of peace to carry them through this time. And so we will offer these words. As Dan was telling me, it is this week that there are 2 families still waiting for their loved ones to come home so that they can bury them. But also this week, Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, the public prayer for the return is going to be ending, because before this all started, there were 2 families who were waiting. And so now we have unfortunately reached a horrible kind of completion. So let us turn our hearts in the face of such loss. Let us not close our eyes to it, but let us open our hearts to all those who have suffered and to the idea that there may yet be hope ahead for all in the region. Please join me. Great mystery, loving Shekhinah, come close. We need you near us now. Answer our prayers for peace. Do not turn away from us. Bless the people of this planet with peace. May their hearts be inclined toward kindness and their hands towards service. May the love of power give way to the power of love. May wounds heal before they cause more wounds and more wounds. May peacemakers be protected and empowered. May their voices be sweet and irresistible. May the people of Gaza be blessed with visionary, game-changing leadership, ample food, health, and hope. May the people of Israel be blessed with visionary, game-changing leadership, ample food, health, and hope. May all hostages come home. May all whose lives have been disrupted and uprooted by war find comfort and support. May all the nations of the world expose their kind heart and generous welcome. May no harm be done in our name. May no harm be done in anyone's name. May no harm be done. And we turn to the prayer for healing. This week on our community's healing list, we are praying for Rabbi Rim, for Robin Smith, for Susan Kartz, for Paul Schlichtman, for Nan Owens, for Liliana Wolheim Martinez, for Mary Earls, for Susan Rose, for Ed Snow, Elizabeth Foss, for Virat, Rosemary Kierstead, Lynn Bishop, Richard Zimmerman, Barry Weinstock, Harriet Weinstock, Richard Schur, Stanley Roth, Deb Midman, Debbie Gilman, Neil Daniels Midman, for Andy, Jeff, Jenny Vanderpool, Annie Graham and her family, for Anya Kabel, and Sue Boardman. If there is somebody you're praying for whose name you would like to say aloud here in our sanctuary, please raise your hand. For all those named, we'll pray the words of Misha Berach together. Bless the ones before us, Many people gathered with family and friends in these last days. And for so many of us, the joy of that gathering is bittersweet because of those who we wish could be there, who we miss, whose lives have touched ours and continue to touch and shape ours after their death. If there's somebody you're remembering, whether it's their yard site or not, but somebody who felt present for you in these last days, feels present with you today, it would be an honor to call on you so you can say their name aloud. We did hear in our community just yesterday of the death of Ruth Rosenholz's mother, Susan.
My grandmother Frida's my grandmother, Mary Fox.
A friend, a couple of ours, Erica's sister.
Thank you.
My father saw Rock Walker. It's just been a couple of weeks.
Thank you. Caroline.
It's our first Thanksgiving without Diana.
Mhm. Mhm. Hillary.
Grandmother Marshall.
Dan. Gladys.
My friend Charles Coe.
Thank you. Dan, did I see your hand? Okay. For all those named, for all we carry in our hearts, we become one community engaged in this sacred act of remembering with the words of Mourner's Kaddish. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divra chirte v'amlich malchute, b'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kari v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam ulamei almaya. Yit barach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha brihu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. May the one who makes peace in the heavens make peace for us, for all Israel, for all who dwell on earth. As together we say, Amen. You may be seated. I apologize about my voice given way. We are going to turn to Kiddush and Motzi, which means we're going to eat pie. Right after that, would anybody like the honor of Kiddush this evening? You want to come hold the cup? Would you come hold the cup? No? Listen, I hear you. Hi would do it. Thank you, Hi. I appreciate that.
That would be great.
Yes. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. And reaching either forward or towards a neighbor, making sure you have permission before you touch, but also offering contact when it is so necessary and missing in this world. We'll say motzi together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. B'tei avon, everyone.
I'll make an announcement.
You can.
Okay, so Monday at 7, the adult learning is putting on a virtual tour of the Lower East Side. I'm trying to get as many people as possible. I've looked at some of their sample tours, essentially this, it's really great.
Monday at 7.
At 7 on Zoom.
Perfect. Monday at 7 on Zoom, tour of the Lower East Side from the comfort of your own home.
Yeah.
Even better. Please go help yourself. There is pie, there are cookies, there are more cookies, is all sorts of goodness. Get yourself a little nosh and then come on back and we'll study a little text together. Yeah, here you go. That's what I was gonna do because it doesn't quite fit. Do you mind? Thank you. I thought it needed a little bit more. Some years I add bourbon, some years I don't add bourbon. And this was a no bourbon year, and I thought it needed the kick of the bourbon, so I'm sorry. But thanks. So when you, perfect, Dan, as usual, perfect slide placement. When you think about Thanksgiving and when you think about Jewish Thanksgiving, what do you think about? Sukkot. Say more about that, Sandra. Oh, hold on. I don't know that there's anybody online, but just in case, they can't hear you if there's not a microphone involved. Oh, people look later, so then you definitely have to speak into the microphone.
That's the Harvest Festival, and we give thanks for everything that's grown so well for the past year.
Right, so we have a Thanksgiving, right? We have a Harvest Festival. It is Sukkot, right? And we are in our little permanent sukkah here, which the term permanent and sukkah automatically don't work together, but here we make it work with our Lulav and our Etrog theme, because that's the Harvest Festival, where we give thanks for the fact that the rains didn't come too soon and that it didn't get too hot and all of the things. But it, of course, happens to fall about in line with our harvest time as well. Not quite, but close. Other things when you hear Jewish and Thanksgiving. Jewish and Thanksgiving, what pops to mind? Or you could put it like, oh, Hillary. Perfect. Thank you.
The very basic part about Jews loving to eat.
Ah, perfect. Most of our holidays can be summarized, right? And they end with, and then we ate. It is a very Jewish holiday in that we gather around a table. Okay, what if I say Jewish and giving thanks? Does that change it at all for you? Jewish and giving thanks?
Well, I was going to say that observant Jews have a whole system of blessings pretty much for everything, but they have a blessing every time they eat anything, and that's, I guess, giving thanks. And I don't think it necessarily diminishes special holidays at all, but it's all the time.
Right, so in a traditionally practiced Jewish identity, there is a blessing available to you at almost any moment. Right, before food certainly, and also after, right? And in fact, the more extended blessing comes after a meal and not before the meal. I always assume that's because people didn't want to wait to get to the meal. But I think there's actually a theological reason for it. But right, so this constance of blessing in your life. Other things that jump out to you when you think about giving thanks and Judaism. Here's a question for you. What does giving thanks have to do with your Judaism? You don't have to answer that one into a mic, but think about it for a moment. Am I going in and out?
Yeah, if the handheld is too close to the pack.
The handheld is too close to...
Maybe just use the handheld.
Maybe just use the handhold. Perfect.
Yeah,
I love that. Even better.
you can leave it off, but just, yeah.
It's off.
Okay.
Ta-da! I'm free.
I use the handheld all the time.
Right. I never wore a mic before the pandemic and these mics, and so I have really yet to get used to the idea that I can't walk away from that mic. Giving thanks and your Judaism. I invite you to see if you could formulate, you don't have to raise your hand, but see for yourself if you could formulate an answer and how you did raise your hand. Would you be willing?
Of course.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
I generally associate Judaism with praising. So praising God. I am always giving thanks in myself. I don't know if it's connected to being Jewish or if it's connected to just being a human. I don't know, actually.
Interesting. Right. There is a part of just being a human that makes this sense of gratitude part of how we exist in this world. And for some of us, that is integrated into a Jewish identity, and for some, it may be separate from a Jewish identity, and it may not be a permanent, right? Sometimes it's part of Judaism, sometimes it's not. And then Hai also brought up this issue of is what you said, is praise different from gratitude? I think you brought that question, right?
Well, for instance, the Mourner's Kaddish, if I got this right, is all about praising. Praising God, praising higher power, the Adon Olam, that comes to mind as well. So, yeah, I'm not sure where to go with it.
No, I love it. I think it makes me think about, is praise connected to gratitude? And if so, how is it? And if it's separate, what separates them? And when we use these words of our tradition, right, which one are we both saying with our mouths and thinking with our heads? And those might not be the same, or they might be the same, right? And it's going to depend on each of us sitting here is going to have a different experience with that. Yeah. Other thoughts or questions? Giving thanks and Judaism, or giving thanks and your Judaism? No? All right. Oh, Annie. Oh, yes. Oh, I got 3 hands on that. That was amazing.
Well, I'm reminded, and you're going to correct me if I'm wrong about this, of the blessing that you're supposed to say upon hearing of a death or hearing an ambulance, which is a way of not going, oh, thank God it's not me. And so if you want to think of gratitude as a practice, and we know that all these practices, change us internally because they change our subconscious, then gratitude is a practice of not dwelling on the negative things that happen in our lives, which do happen, all right, and do require our attention, but can swamp us. So for me, a gratitude practice, or being grateful and saying that out loud, is partly about just getting through the dark times. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense, right?
Yeah, I think about it a few different ways, but one thing I think about a lot is how, as time goes by or different things happen in our lives, how many things can go wrong and how amazing it is that so many things go right. And I guess I've been thinking about that kind of thing a lot lately, and thinking about being thankful for what is going right, or thankful for things you've had. But I also think a lot at holidays, or now I've recently lost a parent, thinking about the people who came before us and how grateful I am for all they did so that I could be here.
Caroline and then Erin.
So I was just trying to think about what goes through my head during the prayers, and I realized that it was some version of, you'll know who, I don't remember who wrote or came up with this, but it was the please, thanks, wow. Help, thanks, wow. Right. So that's I realized. I know. I remember you. No, I know. But I remember you bringing it up in a sermon years and years ago, and so that I realized that combination is, what's
Kind of what you could summarize your prayers into help, a thanks, and a wow.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? And this is based on a question that Hybra brought up. I assume gratitude is thanks, right? Is praise wow?
Yes,
Yes.
I think because often the the words we're using, because they're in Hebrew, translate better to me if I just think wow instead of praise.
Right. But I mean, you know, help thanks well, that's what's great about Anne Lamott is she takes religion and she makes it in our language, right? So we don't say praise. I don't walk around using that word regularly, but wow is likely to come out of my mouth. Yeah, right. Great. Thanks, Pastor Aaron.
I was just going to say something historical, which is that thanks was a long tradition back to the temple days, because there were sacrifices and offerings, and they were thanks offerings, and you were giving something of value, back to God. We don't think about it that way anymore, but exactly. But I mean, it's like, who are you thinking? In that case, it was very specific.
Right. So the ancient custom of ritual sacrifice, right, has a couple of elements that may no longer or may be a part of our way of giving thanks, right? It's clearly to God. A percentage goes to the priests. And you have to give something of your own value for it to be fulfilled, right? It's interesting to compare that, to think about how we say thanks and whether that's the same thing. It's changed, but also who feels differently when they get a handwritten note of thanks than if somebody just sort of says thanks and goes on with their day? Like, there is some element of what you put into the thanks that can affect our experience of it, right? But not in that same value in terms of financial value or kind of way. Yeah.
So I think the first time I learned this Modeh Ani prayer was in one of our Sunday morning sessions with the little kids that we would sometimes have in the music room. And so it's just, thank you for making me alive, God, basically. And it's traditional people say it every morning upon arising. And so I think it's exactly analogous to those sacrifices, because it reminds you every day to be thankful that you're alive and that it's a gift. And at least for me, I decided a long time ago, I mean, I have things that I do just for their own sake, but I decided a long time ago that my purpose was to do things to help other people. That's why I was put here. And so I feel like, by saying that little couple of lines in the morning, it reminds me of why I'm here and what can I do today. So, it's kind of Jewish. I mean, I'm not a martyr or anything.
More than kinda. Let's start with the first text, maybe, Dan, if we can. This is Rabbi Rami Shapiro. He wrote one of the songs that we used to sing very frequently, and I cannot remember the words of, even though 10 seconds ago I had them all in my head. I think he spoke to, Lynn, a little bit of what you are speaking about. So spirituality is living with attention. Living with attention leads me to Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is the response I have to the great debt I accrue with each breath I take. Attending to the everyday miracles of ordinary living, I am aware of the interconnectedness of all things. I cannot be without you. This cannot be without that. All cannot be without each, and each cannot be without every. Thanksgiving is not for anything, it is from everything. May I cultivate the attention to allow the thanks that is life to inform the dance that is living. So this idea he has about thanks, Lynn, speaks, I think, a little bit to what you were saying about it's about the attention that you bring to something in response to just the opportunity to be a part of the system, right? To find your place in the system, a place of service or of kindness or whatever your role is, and to see it as part of the interconnectedness of all of it, right? We are loved. That's what we sing. Thank you. We are loved. Hi, yeah.
The question about the particular text that you chose, I definitely resonate with this. I have been informed by different streams of spirituality, some that are overtly universal, and others, like Judaism, which I don't know how to describe. It seemed often based around peoplehood. And so, which is sort of a division. We're dividing up the world. So I'm really glad you brought this. I don't know that I would call this Jewish, but I might have some old idea of what Jewish is. I would love you to speak about that.
Any sentence that starts with Jewish is, you should doubt. Because Jewish is, any version of anything you have encountered has fit into Judaism at some point and probably been deemed outside of the Jewish experience by some Jewish community. So this to me speaks to a kind of Jewish mysticism that it becomes really preeminent in the medieval period in some ways, and then late in it into modernity. But it sources itself back to some biblical ideas about things like that Shema, right? That I was saying, that it's asking you to stand in witness to the idea that all life is interconnected and one. Is it saying that there is one singular deity, or is it saying all of our lives are interconnected and part of the holiness that makes up the universe? You could find a Jew who would say both of those and everything in between. And I think that in the post-1970s Judaism, which is surely informed by other religious traditions as well as modernity, you really do have the growth of what used to be very ancient esoteric texts about oneness and mysticism and Kabbalah and all of these sort of strains. They get brought out of the Orthodox traditions that they lived deeply rooted in for those hundreds of years and brought into connection with something that looks more like a Reform Judaism. It may not be Reform, it could be any kind of Judaism, really. And so you see a lot of these ideas that had sort of been tucked away becoming more mainstream within less traditionally practicing communities. And I think that's part of what you're picking up here in your question. Yeah, good question. Other thoughts on this piece? All right, let's take Hai's challenge seriously, though. Is this really Judaism, right? Or is that just like feel good? It's nice on Friday night to say nice things about all of our lives, right? So Dan, can you give us the next slide, please? So this goes back to Pirkei Avot. So now we're in the year, let's call it 200. It's not, I don't know exactly when it is, but it's around then. And it says, Pirkei Avot are a series of texts. They are Jewish aphorisms, right? They are truth statements offered sort of willy-nilly. And it makes for some really good songs in Reform Jewish camps, I will say. And they also offer this text as part of it. So, who is wise? He who, ignore the he. Again, I'm pulling from Sepharia when it says he. He who learns from every man, ignore the man. Who is mighty? He who subdues his evil inclination. Who is rich? He who rejoices in his lot. Who is he that is honored? He who honors his fellow human beings. So according to this text, what does this text have to do with gratitude? Can anybody see it? Gladys, you're nodding. I'm going to hand you the mic.
I have a Jewish friend, and he says, if you want to have a friend, be a friend. That's his saying, because in the congregation I come from, sometimes people are, well, I came and no one talked to me. And he says to them, if you want to have a friend, be a friend. Go over and start the relationship, and it will come back to you. And so I feel like what that was about, it's like you have to take charge of the situation and be that person, and then that will be what's around you.
Exactly. Beautiful. So it's in so many aspects of our life, right? You have to be the thing that you want to see around you. I love that. If you want to have a friend, be a friend. I'm going to use that from now on. And one of the things that they lift up as something you need to be is grateful, right? That you can't wait for the big days, right? And the overwhelming wows and the, everything that we all wait for all the time. But instead, we have to rejoice in what is there, right? We have to look at what we do have and see it as good. Even sometimes in the hardest of times, right? And a long life will offer each of us some of those, right? But even in those times, the Jewish tradition seems to say there is an invitation or an opportunity for you to still see something good available to you. Yeah? No.
What you were just saying made me think of, I heard in a High Holiday sermon this year, the rabbi was quoting someone who wrote this article about the Shekianu prayer, and this author of this article had a lot of things go really wrong in their year, a lot of deaths and a lot of hard moments. And they made this thing called the Shekianu for shitty times. And they basically were like, and they were saying like, okay, in the middle of cancer treatment, like, blessed is God that brought me to this moment where I have a hot doctor doing the radiology, or, blessed is God who brought me to this moment where a friend could come visit me, right? And the idea was just that, like, we all have the moments where we feel like the world is crashing down, and you can still find something that you're grateful for that you got to this moment in time.
That's gorgeous. Also, now I'm lost on the doctor, but right. But some of us in our community just listened to a man whose name I'm going to forget, which I should not do, who wrote a book called Hostage. He was one of the hostages held in the tunnels in Gaza. And he wrote about what allowed him to get through it and what he offered to the other hostages who had been held for all of those days to sort of give them the strength to get through it with him. And the thing that he taught them was a gratitude practice. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? And he says it with such conviction that he is living literally in the darkest place. He's in a tunnel under a war. And he's offering gratitude. And he's not only offering it, but he's teaching the people around him to offer it. And it does, in fact, he says, change him and change them and change the relationship between them, right? That there is a way, and you all know I don't believe suffering happens for a reason. It's not my theology. But there is a way, even in the midst of suffering, to see what else is there, right? It's one of the things that unfortunately depression robs from people very often, is the ability to see actually what else is there in addition to the suffering. And so illness can take it from us, a specific kind of illness. And one of the ways that we offer to refocus ourselves over and over again is by turning to our dark corners, and even in those places finding the goodness that we hope is sitting there, and is so often sitting there. How many of you have sat alongside a friend going through something you think is just absolutely terrible, and they say, but I'm really grateful for, right? Have you ever sat with a friend doing that? I'm always inspired by those people. I need to remind myself to be those people when I'm in the midst of my suffering. That's not an intuitive move for my brain. But I think the tradition, when it says, he who rejoices in his lot is the person who is rich, right? Is saying, look around, right? That you have to force yourself to see it differently, and to see something as a blessing in the midst, even without ignoring, but in the midst of all of the darkness. And I know that many people right now are feeling very swamped by the darkness. And so to remind ourselves, therefore, that there is, it's not that it doesn't exist in Jewish tradition, it's that that we have a choice, right, in addition to see what else is there around us. Dan, can we skip the next text and go the one after that? So Lynn, this is what you were talking about, right? Anybody know anybody or who starts their day in a gratitude practice?
My husband's aunt does this every day. She says this prayer every morning, and she's told us that. And one of her children actually became Orthodox in his life, and I think it also helps her connect to him. But she's really open about it, and I think it just sets up her day as with a more peaceful start.
Beautiful, yeah. Caroline?
I no longer do it now, but years ago, I think Beth showed me there was an app by Shefa Gold, and I would put it on while I was, getting my kids ready for school and making my coffee and trying to be awake and face the day. So I did that quite a long time, just listened to it while my coffee was perking.
Any other gratitude practices to start our days?
I don't know about a gratitude practice to start my day. Okay. Right. No, but I don't think there's a day goes by that I'm not thankful for my life, because it wasn't obvious that this was the way it was going to go if you'd asked me 50 years ago. So, it's all a gift at this point.
Right. All of the paths not taken, right, that also lead you to here. I think you, Rachel, were talking about all of the things that had to go right for you to get to here, right? All of the things that you might not even have hoped could have gone right, that went right to get you here. And so these are the words that I want us to end this Shabbat of Thanksgiving on, with a little bit of a challenge, which is tradition says if you wake up and you say, Modeh ani, thank you, right? Like I said, not a morning person. I'm really good at about noon. For like 10 minutes on either side of it. I get a good 10 minutes. But tradition offers us or suggests to us, or even sort of nudges us to make sure that every day we offer gratitude, that we take the time to see all of the things that had to go right for us to be here, to even in the face of darkness see the goodness that's on offer, and to make a pattern of it, to make a habit of it. And so my challenge for you is, can you build a gratitude moment? I don't care if it's first thing in the morning or last thing at night, or if it's while the coffee's perking or walking your dog, or, but is there something that is part of your daily way of being that you can tie moments of gratitude to, so that we don't have to wait until next Thanksgiving or next Sukkot to find these blessings that are surrounding us every day? So we're going to sing to ourselves of some of the blessings that we might not notice as we get ready to call it a Shabbos with Shalom Aleichem. It sings about, right, the Shabbos angels. Hi, this is a perfect example. Did they mean angels literally? I don't know. Maybe they meant the 15 of us who are sitting in this sanctuary on a Friday evening talking about gratitude and offering wisdom from our lives. And so I'm so grateful for each of us that we're here, right? And that you showed up, because it matters to the person sitting next to you that you're here. And it matters to each of us.